Hey guys, this is So Approachable,
the podcast for social misfits who've always wanted to be a part of a book club.
but perhaps you've been overlooked in the real world, or you're just too busy. We get it.
This is your invitation. You're in good company. Let's get into it.
Hey guys, this week we are doing The Paris Apartment on So Approachable. It's by Lucy Foley. It's a crime novel. That's Sarah Lyles.
And you're Jamie Livingston.
I am. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, so this book was kind of crazy.
To say the least.
Hopefully you listened to the last episode that kind of dives into what you can expect with this book, but we're going to read you just the quick little blurb to get you refreshed real fast. So, everyone's a neighbor, everyone's a suspect, and everyone knows something they're not telling.
The socialite, the nice guy, the alcoholic, the girl on the verge, the concierge, so many characters.
There were a lot of characters.
Yes.
And they're all quite shady.
To say yes.
To say the least.
Yes.
I mean, and that's one thing about this novel is that the author is trying her hardest to confuse you. Did you feel that? I felt very confused.
Several times. I had to actually, I read it a long time ago and I had to re-listen to it, and I actually probably re-listened to it twice because there were sometimes that I'd go back and I'm like, what happened? Did I miss something? Was that important? It was a lot.
So also for myself, this was my second time going through the book, and I have book amnesia. We'll talk about this at some point, but as soon as I finish a book, I completely forget it. And so that's why I want to have these conversations, because I did not remember whodunit in this whodunit. And there's so many characters, so how was I supposed to remember? Also, I do want to point out that, I would consider this a murder mystery.
Right.
But we don't actually find out if there's been a murder until...
forever.
3/4 of the way in, at least.
Yes.
I don't do math. Fractions are hard. So it's way into the book before you even find out if there's a murder.
Right. And part of it was you kind of get lost in the confusing different first persons of okay, are we at Jess? Are we at Sophie? There's so many.
So let's get started with some of those characters, because you're bouncing around from their point of view.
Yes.
Who is your favorite point of view to read from?
I want to say Jess, but I will say with her, scandalous, always stealing something. She was always stealing something. I would say Jess only because I feel like that was the most entertaining when it was from her perspective.
Okay, so Jess is the main person that we're following along with, the reluctant detective. I like that description. We don't really know a ton about her. She kind of sprinkles some of the past and why she is taken off to Paris. I enjoyed her perspective. Right. I think my favorite one to read from was Mimi. Mimi is just a very interesting... I don't know what is happening with her. There's actually quite a few things in here that reminded me of The Housemaid.
Oh.
So our first book, if you didn't go back and listen to those episodes, I have a couple notes of it's funny to me because her friend even says she's kind of crazy.
She's lurking through the window. That's kind of crazy.
So it's kind of the same thing where people are obviously saying, they're not hiding that they think that this girl is crazy.
Right.
From the beginning. And so there's kind of that, and she has her own arc. We kind of are learning that she's this young woman. I think she's 19, 20.
Young.
And she is so in love with Ben. But it is a creepy in love.
Stalker vibes.
It is 100% not okay. But she thinks it's okay, and she thinks it's reciprocated. And that's where at the end, toward the end of the book, where she's well, of course he feels the same way. He's never talked to me about it, but I know he feels everybody else can see it.
That's definitely psychopathic thinking. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So 100%. I can see why that would be interesting. Yes. Okay. So she was your favorite. Who was your least favorite?
The least favorite to read from... I don't think I necessarily have a least favorite point of view. I definitely didn't like Antoine.
Yeah.
Antoine's just a dummy.
Right.
Maybe the mom, Sophie. Mm-hmm. And Ben, we didn't really get a whole lot from his perspective.
Again, not till the very end.
Right.
Yes.
I don't know. Did you have a least favorite perspective?
It's hard to say. Like, least favorite may become Camille, just because I just saw the bubbly, flirtatious, boy-hopping young girl, which was kind of entertaining, but it was like, I could do without it.
With that in mind, how do you feel about French?
Oh,
and
Paris.
Like Paris in general. Have you ever been to Paris?
I haven't. Have you?
I have technically been to France. I've been in the airport, and my sister and I like drove through some countryside of France, but we didn't actually like stop anywhere.
Right.
I know no French, and so a book that has a lot of French in it, I'm very glad that I was listening to it, because then somebody else is butchering the pronunciations. But that also made it kind of confusing.
Right.
And so like they're saying stuff and they would translate it.
Right.
But there's that language barrier. I'm a Spanish person.
I took French for 2 years.
I know no French.
And I still struggled. I mean, I kind of have, you don't use it, you lose it, right? So some of it was kind of like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I think of France and I think of Paris as like this love and all these things. I mean, it's probably not realistically, but when I think of Paris and I think of France, I think of like this beautiful country, wonderful food. Think of all these, like, that's where romantic things happen. So for this to come out of it, that wasn't very romantic.
Well, and that was one of the reviews that I saw was talking about this could have been put in any city because, like, sure, the setting is technically Paris, but it's really this one apartment.
Right.
Like, it's a locked house.
It's a complex.
Like,
yes. It's its own compound,
you don't
basically.
actually get to experience any of Paris. I think they go to a croissant shop once. That's it. And they go and get on the metro. Like,
they could have done that in New York.
Right.
And got a burger. So,
and I wouldn't have had to deal with all these weird accents.
But again, knowing who the author is, knowing that she's from that area, so it makes more sense for her being from London.
Yeah. So the Paris vibes I didn't get. I mean, I would like the Eiffel Tower. And
oh, yes.
I feel like Theo laughed at Jess because she didn't know what the intro to the Louvre looked like. And he's like, are you kidding me? It's the pyramid. But that's like the only sightseeing that we get to do in this novel.
Right.
So the setting and the descriptions, a little lackluster.
Right. It wasn't my favorite. I mean, again, you don't even feel that it's in Paris, except for when you're listening to audiobook, you hear the accents and the tones.
I will say I had the audiobook playing the other day, and my kids walked in and they're like, can you understand what they're saying? I had it going at like 1.5 speed, and so it was really, really fast. And it was like, Sophie Meunier. They were like...
And they always are like, Mimi Foslo.
Yes. They just looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, that's all right. I understand it.
Yes. So, okay. So we kind of, again, touch on all of the different characters because there's so many. And it jumps from,
What did you think about Nick? I mean, Nick is portrayed as like the nice guy.
Right. And really, like, as his story starts to unfold... I mean, I ended up going, okay, good. It was good. But, like, he pulls him, in there. He would seem like a nice guy. He seemed like he was, like, the health-conscious guy and the taking care of himself. He seemed normal, unlike a lot of the other ones. He was probably the most normal of them all.
Which I feel like raises red flags when you're reading a story like this. Like, she's trying to confuse you.
True.
She's trying to misdirect you. And so I was kind of like, I don't think he's the nice guy. Like, he can't be the nice guy. There's got to be something hidden here.
I was keeping my fingers crossed that he would stay the nice guy because...
Did you catch the Miller? Because he gave his name as Nick Miller.
Yes.
And maybe because you know some French.
Yes.
Did you know that Miller was French for...
Well, after they explained it, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, okay. But still, it showed that he was trying to hide his true identity.
Right. Did you ever watch New Girl? Because that was my instant thing. I was like, Nick Miller, of course. And she talks about Google coming up with a ton of these American actors. And I was like, yeah, Nick Miller.
I mean, it makes sense.
We love Nick Miller.
Right. Yes. And so, yeah, I did... understand that after they explained it, but still, it was like he still was trying to hide his identity because he didn't want the link.
Right.
Know.
I still think that so I think the first big twist in the book is when we find out that they're a family.
Oh, yeah.
Why are they trying to keep that hidden? Well, if they lived there, why is that? I don't understand.
I guess I saw it as they didn't want Jess to know that they were a family. I mean, I guess it would make the idea, after you see at the very end of what happens, the idea of what happens would make more sense, or she could tie things together. But I don't know. Like, why would you hide it?
Feels like they live their lives trying to keep that secret. I don't know. Do they try to keep that secret from other people?
Again, it's hard to tell because you don't go outside of that, outside of the complex, the compound.
Right. But even in all of that, again, this is the author's misdirection. Like, nobody says, like, mom or dad or, like, anything. And they're calling themselves by their, like, full names. And, like, it's all just very detached. Mm-hmm. And if it is a family,
they're
interacting in, like, different apartments. And so it was also, like, I don't know, like, that whole vibe was like, if you are truly a family, why are you so separated and weird?
It was weird, but again, when you get to understand where their place is in the family and how they really are linked or not linked, that made more sense to me. Like, okay, so she's not really Jacques, the father, not really Jacques' daughter. Okay, that made more sense. Okay, why she would not really interact as much, but why wouldn't they just say, this is my brother, this is my mom, this is my sister?
Right. It's very, very, I mean, it was done for the plot. I get it.
Yes.
It's also strange because you've got kind of like the wicked stepmother vibes going on because, like, the boys don't like her. And I mean, I relate to those vibes. I'm a stepmom. And so it's just very, very strange to look at the interactions between them, especially at the end when you find out that Antoine is the one who's been blackmailing his own stepmom.
Crazy. Yes, horrible. And I couldn't imagine, like, why he would do that. But
did you see that coming? Did you think it was Ben?
Did I? No, I didn't. Did you?
I didn't think it was Ben. But then I was trying to think of, like, well, who else would be blackmailing her? Because it's clearly important. Out of our cast of characters, it wasn't going to be like Joe Schmo from down the street.
True, because we were staying within this compound.
So it had to be somebody within. Could it have been the concierge?
Oh, like, I actually at one point thought it was the concierge because the concierge was so in her own little element that she seemed in a way to resent almost every single person in there. And so I wouldn't put it past her.
So I think just talking about some of the things that pointed us maybe in the right direction or made us think twice was when she went and rescued Mimi from the road. Mm-hmm. When, like, Mimi tried to throw herself in front of a bus. Mm-hmm. That was the first time we saw the concierge take action toward any member of the family. Right. And so that was very telling toward the ending.
Why she cared.
Right.
Yes.
So that was an interesting thing. I was trying to remember, because, again, I had read this book before, and I was like, I know there's something here, and I'm missing it. I was trying to think if the concierge was Sophie's mom, and, like...
You knew it was somebody.
Right. There was some sort of relation there, but I forgot that it was the baby of somebody else that they took on.
Yes.
So the fact that Mimi isn't actually Sophie's baby.
Right.
That was a surprise to me again. And the second time through, I was like, oh, I totally forgot that.
Yeah, I mean, part of me goes, I liked the concierge. I liked Mimi. I liked that one interaction, which made you almost feel like, oh, the concierge has a heart. Like, she actually is not just this old, decrepit woman, which is how my head kind of viewed her, stuck in this tiny little home. I mean, she actually does care. But then I thought, but why?
Mm-hmm. Do you know, did this stand out to you? Did Jacques know that she was the grandma?
Oh, I don't think I even thought about that.
Because it said that, like, she just came and got that job and she's lived there ever since.
It would make more sense if he didn't know, but yet Mimi didn't know, but Sophie knew. But, like...
Do you think Sophie knew?
Oh, I don't know. Do you?
I have no idea. Like, I feel like that's one loose end that I was, like,
questioning,
looking for an answer, and I don't think I ever clearly got the answer.
Right,
because
true.
It said that she had collected teeth and hair and, like, things from Mimi throughout her childhood.
That's true. But then there were also, like, times when you would go, but why is the concierge still there? And the family even asking, like, oh, why does she still, like,
right.
What does she do for us type of thing.
That's why I didn't know if maybe Jacques knew, and that's why, like, he employed her.
Maybe. That would make sense as to why
or maybe she, like, blackmailed him along the way, or, like, no, you give me a job so I can be by my kid. You had my daughter killed.
True. Maybe. Or maybe she just joined in and stuck around and they didn't know. I don't know.
Right.
That's a good question. I don't think I even thought about that until now.
Or, like, she had to do a good enough job to never get fired. I mean, even Mimi was like, why do we even have this person? Like, we're fine.
Did you see her do anything?
Right.
So I feel, okay, now I'm thinking a little deeper. Someone had to have known.
Somebody. And then you get the concierge and Sophie working together.
Yes.
And so that's where I'm like, well, did Sophie know?
That makes the most sense. Sophie knowing more than Jacques.
I don't know. If anybody listening caught something in the book that made a little more sense to them, let me know, because that's my still the question that I have after finishing.
That's a good question. All right, so all these characters, all the setting. All right, so what was a next point that kind of stood out to you within the book as far as like the plot? Now we're getting another twist. What kind of stuck out to you next?
I think some of the descriptions of things, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I took notes on while reading. The thing that I did not like about this was how obviously the author was trying to misdirect us, especially even in the first few chapters. Are they chapters? I mean, just the different perspective switches, but it was always a cliffhanger at the end of somebody's perspective. And so you had to keep reading to find out what actually took place there. Jess feels like she's being attacked, and then you find out it was a cat. Like, talking about, like, something digging into her flesh, and it was cat claws.
Correct.
Like, okay, somebody's reaching into their pocket and pulling out a knife, and it's their phone.
Right.
Like, everything about this was, like, overhyped and over dramatic.
Right.
Did you feel that?
Yes. I felt like there were so many times it was like, I felt almost like I loved her first book, so don't get me wrong. I loved the guest list. That was a great book. But in this one, I felt like she was reaching a lot. There was a lot of like, oh, I want to make sure you guys are still interested, so let me continuously put these different cliffhangers in there.
Yeah, I thought it was too much. There was a lot of build-up to then big letdowns. Like, constant. Oh, okay. It was just nothing. I don't know. Do you have anything that stood out in those instances?
What stood out to me? Ben's interactions with the family. So his relationships with several of them, how he kind of intertwined and how that unfolds between many of them was kind of like, all right, Ben, what's going on? Maybe you aren't this good guy as I perceived you to be in the first, few seconds we met you, but we never actually even heard from you. So that stood out to me.
Ben is the other character that I liken back to the housemaid. And our conversation about just how the main character in that book was this drop-dead gorgeous person that everybody loved and thought was amazing and was attracted to.
Right.
And every moment was electric. That's how I felt about Ben. It seemed like Mimi, well, yes, Mimi. Mimi was infatuated.
Yes.
But then we were led to believe that Cammy was into Ben.
Right.
The fact that Nick is into Ben.
Amsterdam.
And then also Sophie.
Yes.
And so it just felt like every woman was
and man
magnetized to this person. So it was like, he's charismatic apparently and is like trying to get what he wants out of people, but that I felt unrealistic again in that, like, why does everybody love this one person? Maybe it's just because I don't have that.
Well,
we have the, let's repel people, not let's attract people. And so those people I'm always skeptical of. Like, how can you be so likable?
Right. Why do people come to you and they think, oh, I want to be your best friend? Or I'm like,
I'm going to spill all of my secrets. That's what everybody did with Ben.
Yes. And so to me, why was he automatically trustworthy? Like, what about him made him trustworthy? And then for them to do certain things, and I was like, whoa, Ben, put your pants on. Let's go.
Yes. I will say I appreciated that this was not, like, if we have a spiciness level, this was not a spicy book by any means. There are mentions.
Right.
They are not graphic. They are not in detail.
Correct.
I give her credit for that.
Right. But Ben, he had his fair share of things.
It seemed like it. Good golly. Did you think that Jess was doing a good job of detective work?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I take that back. Because she trusted other people. Like, even when Nick went in to talk to the detectives, she couldn't understand anything they were saying. And she didn't even know him. And so that made me go, are you sure? Do you trust that? I mean, what did you think?
I think the first time reading that, I bought it hook, line, and sinker. It was like, they went to the police. That adds to Nick's credibility, and, like, he's a good guy helping her. I had no idea that he was, like, in on it.
Well, again, that might be part of my problem and why I'm not so approachable is I don't trust right away. And so I thought, no, don't trust.
You got a shady past. You don't trust the police either. I get it. Okay.
So it's just hard for me to believe that. And then even I understand why she didn't automatically go to the police when she first realized that he was missing. But for her not to, like, really start to worry and go, okay, I got to put myself aside. This is serious. Made me go, oh, come on. She could do a little bit better.
I actually wrote that question. Like, what would happen if she would have called police at the beginning? Would this have just been all solved and buttoned up? Or
there wouldn't be this book.
Right. Like, I get that. But the character who's in trouble with the law, I mean, would she? I mean, we learn what she did.
Right.
Like, would police from another country have come after her?
I don't think they'd even care.
No. If you truly thought something happened, there's blood, there's, like, a sign of a struggle. His necklace was left behind.
I mean, the cat fur having blood tinge. You're finding all these different things that I don't think they would care.
Yeah. That was mine, like, you probably should have just gone to police.
Yes.
They're going to have somebody who can speak English for you.
Yes.
You're telling me that they don't have somebody who can speak English with you. No.
Right.
Go in there
and
plead your case. But it did feel like a flimsy argument of, like, I don't know. He said he would be here.
Right.
And he's not.
Right. Yes. Yes. I did find that there was a lot of foreshadowing in the book. Now thinking back to it, she did a lot of it to where it was like, all right, now that I'm thinking about it, I got to really, like, dive more into it. And I picked that up as kind of some foreshadowing on things, right, when he was talking to the detectives.
I mean, there's a ton of things that you can notice along the way. Mm-hmm. There are references to Mimi getting kicked out of school and, like, that whole situation. Mm-hmm. I remember that was insane.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the first few mentions of it were very shallow. Right. And then when she actually explains, like, I was in love with him and I sent him all these paintings and they didn't think that was very cool. Like, that wasn't appropriate.
Right. You go, oh, the character's on point. That's exactly who you are.
I will say I almost puked while reading one of her sections when she was going through Ben's apartment. Oh. And it said that she licked and swallowed his beard shavings.
Ew.
It was disgusting.
Well, again, we had already said she's crazy.
Right. And, I mean, it's one thing to smell somebody's shirt and be like, I feel close to this person.
But
I'm sorry.
Lick hair that's been shaved.
Disgusting.
Gross.
I just
thought she was even crazier. It was like, I give her at this point no credibility to anything she says from now on. Like, well.
Right. There's nothing about you that is sane.
Right.
And, like, I think she's realizing that along the way because she's like, what if you start to think that you're the monster? Mm-hmm. Like, that was her thought process.
Right.
And, like, she is worried about it. Mm-hmm. And it is interesting because she didn't realize or remember what she had done.
Right, yes. Which, again, puts in tie of her being crazy. It's kind of that
it's a trauma response.
I'm sure some PTSD in that thought process of what she was, maybe put herself back and just forgot about it, I guess would be easier than actually thinking about it, because I can't imagine her life, going through her whole life of all that she's gone through, having to kind of feel all those things, but yet be this happy, cheerful, beautiful young woman.
So I think we need to talk about the actual violent act that took place, because Mimi basically blacked out and knew she did something wrong,
but didn't know what.
Right. And so at that point, we think we have the big reveal as a reader, because you got Sophie coming in and helping her clean up, and we are all assuming that Ben is dead.
Right. At that point, I thought, Ben's dead. Okay, she killed him out of love, whatever it was.
Saw Mama with him and in a fit of rage went after him. That's what we're led to believe.
100%, yes. I thought Ben's dead. Okay, this is what I've been thinking the whole time. He's dead somewhere. Okay,
but she couldn't let that be.
Of course not.
No, there was another huge reveal along the way, and I feel like everybody is kind of hit by that truck.
Right. When I was reading the actual physical book, I got to where that came up, and it was like, oh, how is there this many pages left in this? So what's about to change? What's about to happen? And so it was interesting to me to be like, wow, there's still a good 1/16 of the book still left.
So I think Lucy Foley did a good job with the amount of surprises.
Right, yeah.
I mean, there was an insane amount of suspense.
Right, yes.
All throughout the book.
Absolutely.
But she did craft in here some very interesting twists and turns.
Yes.
Because we definitely think that at that point, it was her. She doesn't remember it. It was a fit of rage. But then we find Ben alive.
Yeah. I mean, barely, but yes.
Yes. But he's alive. And then you see the genuine surprise on Nick's face.
I know. That made me go, okay, he is a genuine guy.
Right.
Even though he
to a certain extent, he's not evil.
Compared to a lot of the other ones, okay? look at the character list. He's
right. So he was genuinely surprised by this. So then, but can you imagine? He buried a body.
And he's thinking that was his, going, okay, that was,
how is he still... Who did I bury?
Yeah. And just thinking all that through. I mean, he'd have no idea. He would not have thought it was his father.
No. But I also question that, because I pictured his dad as this
big guy.
Rugged man. So that felt like maybe I'm just picturing the wrong thing. Maybe he wasn't this big burly man that would be really hard to carry down flights of stairs and bury. Big hole. If you had taken those actions to bury somebody and then that person is sitting there, I think even Jess says it looked like he saw a ghost.
Yes, because that's what he thought he saw, because he didn't think he was alive. In his head, I buried him 6 feet under. Why is he here?
Yeah. So what did you think about that final twisteroo?
I mean, after everything revealed of all that he did, I was so glad that it was Jax that was dead, because he deserved to die. I mean, he had no reason to be alive, and to do all those things to those young women, it was like, come on, I get it. They're not doing the greatest thing, but they're trying to make a living, and you're just an evil person.
Well, let's dive into that, because that is a big part of the plot and the family secret. Because even Mimi had no idea that that's what their family business was.
Well, and that's where their mother, knowing where she came from. And so all of that was like, oh, okay.
I feel like that was an interesting aspect of this. I mean, that's what takes us outside of the house.
Yes.
But
not
because
far.
Even Jess had questioned early on the prices of the wine bottles when she saw Nick's notes, and she's like, well, that doesn't make sense. That's insane. And that was part of Ben's investigation along the way. Oh, they're not actually paying for wine, they're paying for women.
Right.
And I feel like the descriptions of that place and there being one locked room in the basement or whatever, that was a little unrealistic.
Right.
Although I'm not really up on my brothel knowledge, so
oh yeah,
maybe it is realistic. I don't know.
Haven't been there. Don't know.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, probably won't get into that. So I'm pretty sure, like, knowing that whole thing was like, all right, well, that felt more realistic after it all kind of unfolded, because I'm sure there's a lot of these type of things that we don't know about, like brothels. And so when you're trying to hide something, it makes sense. Why would you put all these labeling the wine with the cost and it being uncannily insane? And so,
but I don't know, because they never said where the money came from either. So to have this swanky establishment, it felt a little more above board, or like it was presented that way. But then when you kind of learn the backstory with Irina and, I mean, Mimi's mom, like,
yeah,
clearly the ladies who were involved did not like being involved.
Right, yeah.
Where I feel like maybe there are other institutions where the ladies are there by choice and like know what they're getting into. This felt sleazy.
It did. And it felt just like, I felt bad for them. I'm glad it ended the way it ended. And then they all, in my happy-go-lucky, they all walked away with a chunk of change.
Right. So I don't think we actually get that final answer or that closure. We know that Jess is like pushing Sophie to do that and like take care of these women.
I assume because you don't hear of any of them. Like, you don't actually hear them. They're all gone. So I assumed that meant that she paid them all off, because otherwise I would be right up there, the first one in line, being like, I'm going to tell you what happened. So I'm assuming the only way that they got away with that is because she did pay them.
What do you think about that as like the resolution of everything?
I mean, it wasn't my favorite ending. It was like, okay, yes, I'm glad all this is done. All this is good. I'm glad that now he's dead. These women are walking away. And she has her brother again. So, I mean, there was that happy point of it, but it wasn't my favorite ending. What did you think?
I liked how the pieces came together, the final surprises, and I'm a journalist, so I like the investigative piece and like that Ben is actually getting kind of the scoop that he was hoping to have and that's going to help his career.
Yes.
And so I enjoyed that part of it, kind of that Theo was kind of a dirtbag and that he wanted to like focus on the story.
Right.
But the fact that Ben was alive and was able to really crush this assignment, that I enjoyed.
Yes.
My journalistic heart enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And that the people were helped out.
Right, yeah.
I think that family had a lot of messed up characters. And then I think Antoine ends up killing himself. So, but again, that feels like his just desserts there. I don't know, like that.
Did he kill himself or did someone else kill him?
Maybe there's another book. Oh my goodness.
Well, and then even that, there's that website, or they're saying that the unanimous, like I think at the end when the article comes out, when they're talking about, then there's other things coming out through it, like, oh, you know, there could potentially be another book. But it ended, I mean, I could see how your journalist was like, I'm happy, it's all good.
Right. He was digging into this story. He got to the bottom of it in a very dangerous way. I do not recommend that.
And a scandalous way too, yes.
Yes. But I liked the closure that we got and that Jess has her brother. And I feel like their relationship is in a much better place.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they're going to actually maintain that relationship. Even though she said she's going to go off on her own travels and enjoy some of life now, I'm assuming she found some money along the way in that process. So I feel good. I feel good that she gets to kind of go on knowing that she can rely on her brother.
Right.
And I think they won't go so few and far in between their interactions.
Right. I do like that it did bring them together because it's very apparent they didn't have the same upbringing. They were separated. They haven't really talked much. She had a much harder life than he did. But in that, they ended up with a good ending of like, okay, I get my brother back. I get my sister back. That felt like a happy family.
Yeah. I think that was the other thing throughout this story. She had mentioned a couple times that even when she found out that they were a family, or she didn't recognize things about them that pointed to them being a family. So before we get to that reveal, she missed out on the signs. And she had even said it's because she has no experience with family. And like when she said that, that was really poignant to me. Like that was like, oh, she was clueless, and that's why from her perspective we didn't pick up on any of those signs.
That's true. So I guess maybe there were times that they acted like a family, but she didn't know what a family looked like, and so it wouldn't seem anything but like a friend or a neighbor.
Well, right. I mean, she did question them all hanging out for drinks in the penthouse.
Right.
But it didn't click to her that that's what family would do.
She was just thinking this is a neighbor gathering.
Right. And she's like, my neighbors, I've never done that with flat 2B. Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
But it never clicked that it was a family. So I feel like now that she and Ben have reconnected, she'll have a little more understanding.
Well, and Ben obviously knew and picked up on all of that. So the different upbringings, I think, does tie into their thinking and their point of views, because obviously Ben knew, and maybe from his relationship with Nick, but knowing a lot of that, I think, does change a little bit of my thoughts on Jess and her point of view.
I feel like we just got really deep. Oh my goodness. Let's see, was there anything else? Oh, I did laugh because from Nick's perspective at one point he said, well, every family has these kinds of secrets.
I mean...
And I was like, do they?
I don't know about this deep of a secret, but
I don't think my family has any secrets like that.
Those are serious secrets. Those are serious. I mean, yeah, no, my family doesn't.
Are you sure?
I mean,
I feel like you're hiding something.
I don't know. Read about 75 more pages and we'll see.
My goodness. I did find it interesting. I saw that she wrote this book while she was pregnant.
Yes.
And then...
Pandemic, too.
During the pandemic.
Yes.
So during her pregnancy and then with an infant, which as a new mom, my mom brain is insane. I can't imagine... That might be why this is so scattered and it goes from one point of view to another point of view to another, because good golly, I have so much trouble focusing and spitting out words. How is she writing all of these words?
Right. I mean, and you think about the pandemic we've lived through. Think that you didn't have anybody over, and she's got a new baby, so you really don't have people over. And so it's like her and her little tiny,
No wonder they didn't get out and sightsee in Paris. They were trapped in this apartment.
Really that makes sense. If she is like during a pandemic, it makes sense why she didn't really move outside of the apartment complex, because real life, she was stuck inside.
That reminds me, one of the books that I want to get to is a pandemic-related book. It's a Jodi Picoult book, Wish You Were Here.
Oh, never heard of it.
It's fascinating because it was one of the first books that, detailed the pandemic.
We'll have to get into that. Yeah, we'll add that
I'm
to
adding
the list.
it to the list.
We're adding that to the list. And if you have another edition, readers, send them. We want to have them.
We are open to suggestions.
Absolutely. We may not be the nicest and the most approachable, but we're the kindest in our hearts.
We are. We also want to stretch each other.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Because when we compared the lists of books that we've read, there's a lot of murder mysteries and things like that. But I tend to go into some of the historical fiction. Yeah. We also like nonfiction. I don't know. There's a lot of different genres, love stories.
Right, yes. I'm excited about all the different possibilities. I think that it is good for us, just like as we grow, to read books that we're like, all right, I'm going to be guilty. I judge a book by its cover. I absolutely do. I look at the cover and I think, does that look interesting? Yes or no?
I don't think we talked about this. Is this what you pictured as the hotel?
Oh, no.
Or the
absolutely
apartment?
Not. Is that what you picture?
No. I don't know. I went back and forth between, was I supposed to be picturing ritz and glammy, or was it like old wealth that had atrophied? I felt like it wasn't a big bougie, super fancy.
I don't think it
felt run down.
It did. In my mind, it's like you're walking in this gated door into this flower bed area, the garden. And so you're walking through that, and then to the left in my head, I don't know why I put them into the left and the right? I mean, I automatically did. It's like the concierge and her little, almost like I would think of, in your backyard, you have your little shed. And so it's right next to the shed. And then on the other side is this, taller building. I don't imagine it that big. And then each of them having these small little balconies, not these giant balconies like they're showing on the picture.
I think that's one of the things that I struggle with when I'm reading. I don't picture, I have a hard time imagining what is actually being described. Some people have a movie playing while they're reading, and I don't think that's me. There was not a specific apartment that I was envisioning. I don't know.
I literally do every time. Because I think every time, because like, do you remember in the, gosh, it was more towards the beginning, when they walked past the flower bed and she could smell the soil and talked about it had just been freshly dug up?
Because there's a body.
But even like that, they're passing that every time. You know, it's like I envision that every time they're passing. Huh. So I don't know why. It's
I
good.
love that.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just not that creative, I guess. I'm waiting for them to spell it out, and then it's in one ear and out the other. Again, like I don't revisit this stuff, but I do like the wrought iron, and like it feels
it's dark and mysterious. I feel like the mystery in it, yes, of like the colors, and then I wonder
needs some gargoyles.
Oh yes, that would be phenomenal. I do wonder what the hot pink for the wording. Why choose hot pink? I mean, I know they don't always choose it, but it's an interesting choice.
A stark contrast to the mysteriousness lingering below.
Yes, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe that's kind of a Mimi. That's what the effect I get on that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm. Weird. My brain goes to weird things too. So.
Yeah. I feel like that was. I feel like we did justice to that book.
Yes.
There was a lot going on. What did we miss?
So tell me your review.
My rating.
How do you feel? How would you rate the book? This one has a lot to it. So how would you rate it?
I will probably go somewhere around a 7.
Okay. Why?
I feel like it was too contrived, but I did enjoy the twists and turns. It was so stressed that like you're supposed to be anticipating something for it to be a big letdown, and I felt that was very, very over the top.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see in that.
What you got?
Oh, I'm sorry, Lucy Foley, if you're listening. This is not against you, because I would give your other book, The Guest List, like a good 8 or 9. I would give it like a 5.
Okay.
In the middle, I was bored. I felt so confused. Like I said, I had to reread or re-listen to so much of it that it was like, okay, she could have left out so much of that I feel like if she would have made that a little bit shorter in her like big reveals and captivated me, that the boredom, I was like, oh, it's so frenzied. There's so much going on. And so that's where I was
surprised that so much or so little happened in so little time.
Yes.
It really was only the span of a couple days that this all took place.
Which
and it felt like
weeks.
3 weeks. I'm like, what? She's like, it's been 48 hours. I was like, that's all? And you're at a Halloween party and getting drugged? Like,
right.
That was all in that same day?
Right. But, I mean, we'll say the tone starts strong and spooky, and then, Jess seems like, fine, I'm okay with her. But then in the middle, I'm like, okay, all right. When is this over going to be ending? And then at the very end, when it does turn out to be Ben still alive, then I was interested again. So it
took a while, okay.
But it's nothing against, just not one of my favorite of hers.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, well, there's our ratings. Let us know what you guys thought about this. We'll have posts up on the socials.
Okay, the episode is over. If you enjoyed it, could you give us a thumbs up or leave a review?
It goes a long way toward helping us grow and meet new people like you.
Subscribe to get notified when the next episode drops.
You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook to see what we're reading next, recommend new books, and join the conversation.
We're so excited to have you on board.